When does a mother stop being one? From the perspective of our cultural ethos, the answer is probably never. But how would it change when the children never stop wanting their mothers come what may? It's a largely symbiotic relationship that is all hunky-dory till one fine day it is not. Vanakkam and welcome to Cinema Express, and in this video review episode, we are going to talk about director Vipin Radhakrishnan's Angammal, which stars Geetha Kailasam, Saran Sakthi, Tendril, Bharani, Mullaiyarasi, and a bunch of other actors. This review will contain spoilers, so viewer discretion is advised. Angammal is a film that shows how freedom is never absolute, and the freedom of choice, more often than not, is an illusion of choice. System always wins, and in this case, it is a society that values conformity over everything else. It is such a world that is centered on Angammal, played by a brilliant Geetha Kailasam. She is a maverick matriarch who lives life on her own terms. In fact, we have seen such roles played by the male stars in our cinema, and it's refreshing how the gender swap is effective. We see Angammal do a lot of these male antics, but not for a moment do we feel that she is just being aggressive or pensive for the sake of creating a difference. She is very much her own beast as she rides around the dusty old village on her rickety TVS 50. She has a set of friends who sit around and make fun of people walking by. She dotes on her granddaughter but scolds, slaps, insults, and assaults her daughter-in-law. She doesn't show outward emotions to her wayward elder son Sudalai, played by Bharani, and pours all of it on her second son Pavalam, played by Saran Sakthi, who was a doctor. Basically, she has stopped mothering her firstborn but never allowed the second one to wean off. The writing elevates these scenes, especially when you realize that throughout the film, Angammal talks to Sudalai only when she wants to talk about Pavalam. But one fine day when Angammal is forced to live life on Pavalam's terms, all hell breaks loose. Pavalam is in love with Jasmine, the daughter of a rich Christian family, and he wants his future in-laws to see his mother as a woman keeping up with modernity and not someone who shies away from wearing a blouse. Angammal, who has never worn a blouse under a sari, doesn't want to do it simply because she doesn't want to do it. But will society and her own family allow her that freedom of choice? Based on Perumal Murugan's short story Kodithuni, the film asks bigger questions about society's inherent need to have people conform to the majority. Things go down a spiral when the concept of beauty takes a new form in her life. It makes her wonder if she isn't beautiful. It makes her think whether she would be accepted only if a lifestyle change were incorporated. Despite going into avenues that might seem new because of the premise, Vipin fills them with enough levity that keeps us engaged. While the story is essentially about the piece of clothing, Angammal is also about how the older generation is either left behind in the name of evolution or asked to undergo a drastic change to keep up. But the makers don't really want to paint them as saints either. It's also shown how they force the next generation to dance to their whims and fancies and the unresolved resentment in such families. The feeling of relatability with almost every character in Angammal comes through mainly because of the strong performances. Despite being a largely one-note character, Saran plays Pavaram with a sense of urgency that wonderfully brings out the brashness of the character. Bharani reminded me of the Nadaswaram playing character from Unnal Mudiyum Thambi, and he is a silent spectator till a solid monologue that comes his way towards the end. And Bharani delivers a wonderfully restrained performance that screams to the industry that he is a force to be reckoned with. Tendril Raghunathan as Sharada is a terrific addition to Angammal as she oscillates between frustration, anger, happiness, benevolence, and outright scheming with such ease that it is unnerving. There is a quiet confidence in Mullaiyarasi's performance as Pavaram's girlfriend Jasmine. She doesn't take his disrespect without a fight and stands her ground quietly but fiercely. And then there is Geetha Kailasam playing the titular role of Angammal. There's a lot of playfulness underneath the toxicity. There's a lot of toxicity underneath the sarcasm. There's a lot of hurt underneath the bravado and a lot of bravado underneath the defiance. In a different era, this role would have been tailor-made for someone like Manorama, who is, I believe, one of the greatest to have ever graced our screens. And Geetha Kailasam definitely reminded me of her, but still goes on to make Angammal her own. The film begins with a static shot of a barren field as we hear Angammal, who is outside the frame, narrating a literal grandmother's tale to her granddaughter. The opening might make one believe that they're watching a film that is more of the art house kind, bereft of any commercial cinema sensibilities. But make no mistake, Angammal has all the trappings of what I'd like to call a masala indie film. It has a strong emotional drama centered around two sons. It has a lovely exploration of female friendship and how solidarity comes from not just being with each other, but saying the truth even if it is tough to hear. It has a wonderful December romance that doesn't shy away from showcasing maturity without diluting the tenderness and vivacity often relegated to just a youthful romance. Basically, Angammal is everything we think the film will be, and yet it manages to surprise us by being a little more different, a little more exciting, a little more surprising, a little more sentimental, and most importantly, gives us the freedom to engage, observe, debate, and yet feel completely entertained by the blouse hating, sari wearing, surut smoking, swear word spouting grand old lady who just wants one thing in life: freedom. That's it from this video episode. Do like, share, and subscribe to Cinema Express, and do let us know what you thought of the review and the film. Until we meet in the next episode, this is your friendly neighborhood critic, Avinash Ramachandran, signing off. Tata!